Hello everyone, this is Matt, Chris, and Adolfo, and we're going to be doing the...
Hi, I'm Chris.
Thanks. We're going to be doing the Final Judgment review segment for inFAMOUS 1. We just finished recording it about, what, maybe 20 minutes ago or something?
Yes, it's dragged out way too long.
Longer than I thought it would be.
And we have 5 categories: gameplay, graphics, audio, plot, and then something really important, replay value. And we're going to be starting off with gameplay with Chris here. So,
Hi, I'm Chris. Okay, gameplay, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Like, it's solid. It gives you a whole bunch of powers to mess with. You don't really forget about any certain ones. They all come in handy at some certain point in time in the game. They have a purpose, which is very important. There isn't really a lot of bugs with it. I never really experienced much. There's some occasional technical difficulties climbing. That was about the only thing I experienced.
Adolfo?
I'm gonna give it an 8 because I love the powers. I love the fighting in it and everything, but the climbing gets on my nerves so much. Looks like you're trying to hike up a building.
Alright, I also gave it an 8 out of 10. As Chris said, there's a lot of variety in the powers, and that's really good. But I will disagree with you on one thing. There are some powers you forget about. There are some powers you don't need. Like the Gigawatt Blades.
Well, that was DLC.
They were free.
Still, you could have easily beat the game without ever buying them and using them. You could have spent that nice
I didn't count them because they were DLC.
Well, you always count everything. Because the version we have is a complete game, for once. Complete games are rare. But yeah, 8 out of 10. The climbing is a bit annoying. I have fooled around on the game on my own a little bit, and the climbing was a bit annoying. Especially when you're trying to go up really tall buildings and you have the really bad thrusters.
Oh, those thrusters.
And you're like, okay, I think I can make this. And then you go halfway down the building and have to climb all the way back.
It's kind of like this. Yes.
Yeah. Alright, so we completely agree on that. 8 out of 10 across the board. Up next is graphics, and once again we'll start with Chris.
Hi, I'm Chris.
We know you're Chris.
Okay. Well, graphics were solid based on the fact that it was a 2009 game, but it was nothing impressive for that year when you compare it to other games that came out around that time, like Uncharted 2, which also came out that year in 2009. Like, it wasn't impressive, but it was good. Like, there was maybe, like, the textures were alright, they did some good shading, water graphics were decent, it just wasn't bad, but nothing visually impressive.
I gave it a 7 because, graphics were pretty good for the time, but, still pretty average. And, some stuff did take a while to load, like buildings popped in, enemies spawned for, like, no reason.
Enemy spawning.
Well, you got a 6 and a 7, and I'm going to give it a 5. I had a couple complaints about the graphics, and one of them was the late the late loading for the textures in the buildings, and the enemies would just spawn out of nowhere. That was annoying, and it was too dark for my personal taste, especially when you're trying to record it off your TV. You have this really dark area like the sewers, and it's almost always nighttime. They didn't really create a good balance like they did in the sequel, but we'll get to that in another video. So up next is audio with Chris once again going first.
Hi, I'm Chris. I gave it a 7 because it's a good score when you hear it. That's one thing, is that sometimes the sound effects will drown it out a little bit, but I didn't find it to be too bothersome. Like when I did hear a song, it sounded nice, it was good, but it just wasn't very memorable for me, so that's why I gave it a 7.
I also gave it a 7 because you can't really hear the songs, you just explosions and go talking like this. But other than that, it was pretty good.
Once again, I'm giving this audio a 5. Chris's complaint is there that you can barely hear it. I mean, there would be times where you could hear it and it did sound pretty interesting, but the explosions and the talking and everything else just completely drowned out the actual score But the other audio, the explosions and talking, the voice acting was really good, except for Cole's voice. I didn't really like it.
Dick.
And yeah, so 5 is all it gets from me. And up next, we have something really important to any game, and that is the plot. And Chris, take it away.
I gave it a 5. It was pretty weak, but that's kind of something you would expect from a game that allows you to do free roam. A lot of free roam games don't really give you a very interesting plot, minus the few exceptions of like Red Dead. Yeah, like you didn't really build very many bonds with characters. Like when Trish died, I didn't really feel anything because I didn't really care about her. The twist at the end wasn't very original.
Horrible.
Terrible.
I'm about to die. I'm you from the future, by the way. You have to defend the beast. Okay, I'm dead now.
Yeah, it just wasn't really that great.
Yeah, I gave it a 6. Plot was, it wasn't really that memorable, but the last boss battle was awesome. I loved it.
But can you say the last boss battle is more of gameplay than plot?
Exactly. But still, pretty good.
Alright, another 5 from me. That's 3 5s in a row. I'm being completely honest here. The plot was forgettable. It's more like, okay, here's your mission. Go blow this up. Fight this dude. Get this. But I don't think they had packages in this one. That's the second one.
Hidden packages.
They had the hidden packages. It was okay, go find this. The side missions were, of course, oh no, we're being bullied.
Kill these guys for us.
Kill them? So, the side plots sucked. The main plot was
Good at best.
good, yeah, decent at best. I won't say it's good at all. So, a 5 from me. And now, the final category is replay value. So,
I give it a 7 because I love the replay value. Like, if you wanted to put me in words, I would say moderately high because I can spend hours just doing nothing but just going around the city doing absolutely nothing for no reason. And I like going back and doing things evil if I did it good the first way and vice versa. It just makes things a little bit more interesting for me. And yeah.
Well, I gave it a 6 because, if you're like me, you don't really like side missions. You only got the good and evil story to go on. So I would say moderately low, around there.
alright, well, once again, I'm going to be giving the lowest score on this one. I give the replay value a 4 because, yeah, you can run around and do stuff, kill just enemies and civilians and blow more stuff up, but that will get boring. And you do only have 2 very linear stories. They don't really split off very much at all. Either way, like if you activate or destroy the ray sphere, John still dies.
Which is not a spoiler because all of y'all probably played it by now.
Yeah, come on, it's 2011.
If you go to rescue the 6 doctors or the Trish still dies. So there's no real difference really in the plot. It's just, oh yeah, this makes you a bad guy. Doing this makes you a good guy. So once again, that's more plot complaining, but 4 is definitely all it gets. And so that takes care of the 5 main categories. Do you guys have any closing thoughts?
Could have been better.
It's a solid game, it's a very fun game, it's a very addictive game, it's a good game, but compared to other things that came out around its time, it wasn't very impressive. Like, it's definitely one of my favorite games, but it just had a couple of issues.
That isn't caught in the background swarm over there, but yeah, I don't think I agree with Chris here. It was good, solid, but it has issues. The plot, not much replay value for me. And so final scores, Chris, out of
10, if you average all mine out, it's a 6.5.
I give it a 7.
Average my scores together, you get a 5.5. And that's not saying I do like the game. I'm not like IGN. I'm not saying, oh, this game sucks, so it gets a low score. No, that's just my honest feelings about this game. It's honestly just smack dab in the middle, a 5.5. Decent, solid at best. So that is it for our final judgment review for inFAMOUS 1. We will have a final judgment of inFAMOUS 2 with just me and Chris. Adolfo has not played it, so he will be excluded from it, and we're going to go change our scenery. We might actually go do this next one outside. So, all right.
We are?
Yeah, we are. All right.
Hi, I'm Chris.
We know
Yes,
you're Chris.
we know. Bye, I'm Chris.